Hey guys, I hope everybody's having a great break. I know that nobody's probably complaining about not being in school, but since we aren't here, I want to take some time and go over some things so that you can be ready for your packets. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make a series of videos, and I will title them the date of the video and the day of the video. So today's video will be Monday, which will be the 23rd. Okay, so I'll title this one on the YouTube channel that you'll, well, obviously by the time you see me, you'll have gotten on the YouTube channel. And so you'll know what we have going on in class and what we have going on with your packets every day. So each day you'll have a packet. You had one last week, and most of last week was review. But this week you'll have one that'll be review and some new information. So I want to go through every packet every day. And what you can do is when you're going through this, you can pause it. And so that you don't, once you do that particular lesson, and you don't need me anymore, you can pause it and come back at the next lesson and catch up with me. So I'll start with Monday the 23rd. You're going to be working through lessons 81 through 90. These are all review lessons, and you should understand how to do all of these. If you don't, get your parents to send me a text, and I'll try to explain that or maybe make you a video or something. But so your math is just review. It's just your review for math. And your Bible, very simple again. It's about Ecclesiastes 1 and 2. Hopefully you have your Bible at home with you. If you don't, we'll pick that up at school. But very simple Bible. Ecclesiastes explains some of that about Solomon and how he was the wisest guy in the land. And then it's got some multiple choice here on the back. So very, very simple for that. Now, the lesson for today, what we've got to learn is the difference between may and can and some other words that we use in English. I know that you probably told your teacher before, or maybe told your mom or dad, can I go to the bathroom? And your teacher or your mom or your dad may have said, I don't know, can you go? And so we'll talk about can versus may, and what they were doing there was trying to get you to say may instead of can. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through page 261, and I'm really going to follow the blue box. That way you can follow along with me and know exactly what you're doing. So there are differences with words, okay? Some words carry different meanings, but we also always say them as if they don't have different meanings, and I want to go over those words with you. So let's talk about two words. One word is amount, and one word is number. Okay? So I'm following along with the blue sheet here. So if you have an amount is an amount, that's a number that cannot be counted. Okay? All right? An amount would be something that it's something that can be measured but can't be counted. For example, let's say a cup of sugar. Okay? How about if we say a bucket full of rocks? That's the amount of sugar you have, or the amount of rocks you have. You don't have to have two different things there. That's the amount. That's not the number you have. That's the amount you have. A lot of times the word that you guys like to use, and I just use it, is a lot. When you're writing, I see that a lot. You want to write a lot, and that's the amount of something. Okay, so that refers to the quantity that cannot be counted. Now, if you use the word number. If you use number, and this is a quantity is an amount that can be counted. Okay? It can be counted. And when I think about counting, I think about counting objects. Okay? So if I have 2 markers, so then I have 2 markers. Okay? Those can be counted. Let's see here. We can have 6 students in our class. And I'll tell you the trick with amount and number. The trick is that normally the number is going to be a number. Okay? It's typically going to be a number. Okay? And then the other one is typically going to be, the amount's going to show something that represents a measurement. Okay? I'm going to leave that up here, and I'm going to use the top board so I can explain between and among. Between and among are very, very simple. Okay, and I'm going to help you remember that. We use between for everything. We never use the word among. Okay? If you have 3 siblings, they say just split the drink between all of you. Is what we say a lot of times, and that's actually incorrect. Sometimes we'll say between the four of us, no one can get dressed on time. Well, that's also incorrect. Between is used only with two subjects. For example, if I'm choosing between two things, it can only be two things. I can choose between the pencil sharpener and the eraser. I can choose between a blue marker and a black marker because there are only two of them. There are only two. And by the way, I hope that you know this. Between, what part of speech is that? Does anybody know? Preposition. Preposition. Okay, that's a preposition. It has an object and it creates a prepositional phrase. The same thing with among. Among is also a preposition, but among is more than two. I don't know how much among represents. It could represent 3 million or just 3, but it's more than 2. Okay? So if I were to actually tell you to split the bag of chips or the box of candy bars among the entire class, that would be because we have 6 students in our class. So you would be splitting it among the students. Now, if it was only 2 students, say we're talking about Ansley and Carter, I would say split it between you two. Or if we're talking about Rafe and Justice, I would say split it between you two. But if I was talking about Trenton, Jacob, and Rafe, then I would say split it among the 3 of you. Okay, so among is more than 2. Between is strictly 2. It cannot be 1, it must be 2. Okay, Molly, can you get me right here? Are you able to see this part of the board? Okay, so I'm going to leave this on the board so you can be looking at that too. Now we're going to talk about can and may. And again, I'm following on with the blue sheet here. Okay, just want to make sure you understand this. And can and may, can is an ability. May is permission. So whenever you say, can I go to the restroom? Actually, you're asking me the wrong question because I don't know if you can or not. I hope you can go to the restroom. I hope you have the ability to. That would be that your body can function in that way. But then may would be, do I have the permission to go to the restroom? And so that's why when teachers say, I don't know, can you? So really, may deals with permission, can deals with ability. So I would never say, I may jump 3 stories, or I may jump 5 feet off the floor. That would be if I'm asking permission to jump. If I have the ability to do it, then I can jump. And so you can think about it that way. May and can. So can is always ability, and may is always permission. Less and fewer. These are the more difficult too. These are harder to understand what they represent, okay? Again, I'm on the blue sheet here, so you can follow with me. Okay? Less is dealing with amounts. Okay? Less is dealing with amounts. For example, I'm going to use your book here. It says, because Mom baked cookies, there is less flour now. So there's a smaller amount of flour left. Now we can't number the flour. We don't have 12 flours. We might number the cups. We have 12 cups of flour, and that would be numbering them. But we have less flour than we had before, so we're representing the amount of flour we have now. Okay? Fewer is dealing with numbers. I'll give you an example. I have 5 markers. I now have fewer markers than I had before. Not less markers. I have fewer markers. Okay? I have 5 markers. Take away a few, and now I have less markers. Less because I can number them. I have 3 and I had 5. So now I have fewer. Sorry, I may have used that word wrong there. So I have fewer because I'm dealing with numbers. These are very hard. These are much harder to understand and tell the difference between the two. So just remember, less deals with the amount. I'll draw a line here. Less goes with the amount, and fewer goes with the number. Okay, so remember, numbers deal with the quantities that can be counted. Amount cannot be counted. So then less can't be counted physically. You could just tell there's not as much as there was. Okay, so we might have gotten less snow than last year, but I couldn't tell you how many snowflakes we got. I can just tell you we had less snow than last year. So then fewer would be, we could have gotten fewer inches of snow than last year because that's something that we can number. And so I hope that helps you understand those four things: account, amount, number, between, among, can, may, and less and fewer. I'll leave that on the board for a moment and let you see it. What you're going to do is you're just going to in Think A, you're going to find the right term, and it's one or two. For example, the first one that says, blank, I read that book. I'm sorry, blank, I read that book after you're done with it. And I'll give you a minute to think about that. And so I got can or may. Is that person asking for permission, or is that person asking for ability? And actually, that person is asking for permission. So number one would be, may I read that book after you are done with it? So that's pretty simple to follow along with if you use these rules. And then think B, you're going to look at the italicized word. For example, it says between. The contest ended in a tie between Amy and Emily. Now, don't just make up a reason why. Would you leave that as between, or would you change it to among? Now, you wouldn't change it from between to amount or number. You would leave it between or among. And in this situation, you would leave it at between because it's dealing with just two people. Just two people. And then finally, write C. You're going to write these on notebook paper. You can write them on this sheet if you've got space. That's okay too. And so you're going to use your own thoughts to make sentences using the correct terminology there. And then finally, and remember D. These are reviews. Just remember your plural rules, dropping your Y, adding I and ES after that, and so forth. So pretty simple for Monday. You also have a Scholastic to do. I want you to please take your time and do this. This Scholastic will be a social studies grade. A lot of good stuff in here. Remember to complete the entire sheet. There is a lot to be pulled off of this information here. So please take your time and fill that out and do well on this assignment as well, okay? Look, if you need me, you get a hold of me and I'll help you any way I can. Hope you all have a great Monday. Thank you.
You want to step back so they can see the board?